Chris Cox here. It's been a while. I had to have a surgery a couple months ago, similar to what Rick Beato had, except mine was aortic valve replacement. So that kind of sidelined me for a couple of months, but we're back at it, and I wanted to start it today with Ratt, You're in Love guitar lesson. This is off the Invasion of Privacy album. The tuning for this is the low E is dropped down to D, so you're going to do drop D tuning on the low E. The rest of the strings are in standard if you want to play along with the album or this lesson. And thank you guys for all the kind words and comments and support. I so appreciate it during the last several weeks, but let's go ahead and get started with that opening riff. Okay, so we'll talk about the finger positioning next. So where we're going to be on the fretboard. The big thing here is we're constantly coming back to this open E as the chords move. So you're going to be muting that. So you want to make sure you're going to mute it is where you've got your palm in a position to where you get this. If you don't have that, it's going to sound like this. So if you, it'll sound kind of a little sloppy. So, but if you get it, just move the palm up a little bit. You'll get that cool metal sound. But what you're doing, first thing is you're going to just flatten out your first finger across the D and G string. Now, the positions that we're going to be in, it's going to be basically holding that same shape. We're just moving it around from fret to fret. So the first one would be a 7th fret. Then there's a 9th fret. 5th fret, and then up at the 2nd fret, but we'll go through each one of those. So the first one we do is hit this chord, so just the D and the G. So we'll go through that, so it's just a hit. We come to the 5th fret here, so we're going again 7, 9, 5, 2, and then back to the 5th fret. We do this. So that's again flattening your first finger across the D, G, and B string, and you're doing this. You're hitting all three of those strings. And you're doing and you're going to basically be lifting your middle finger up. You're going to fret here on the 6th fret and then lift up back and forth so it gets a. So this is 5th. Put the middle finger down on the 6th fret of the B, lift it up, and then do it again. And then you come back and repeat it again. That second pass through, you're going to pause here on the 5th fret of the D and G, and then grab this. So this, you're going to basically bar your first finger across the, let's see here, 8th fret, and you want to make sure you're pressing down from the low E, A, and D strings, and you get and you're kind of again pivoting back and forth from that muted low E, and the chord part is going to be the A and the D string. So it's, and then that last chord before we change, you're just going to put your ring finger down on the 10th fret of the D. So and then we do a. Now that's just going to be just the low E and A string that you're playing there. So this is going to be a 10th fret of the low E and A. You're going to go down the strums and then come down to the 12th fret of the low E and A, and then and then go right back in to that muted down pick on the low E, because you're going to come back, because this are the same. So you're going to jump back up here. So we go. Pause there on the 5th. 7, 9, 5, 7, 7, 2, 5. Pause here on the 5th fret, and then come back and do the same thing we've already learned. Now when we come back into here, you're not going to go back up to the 2nd, you're just going to go. So that's the only little variation there. Now the last part, this. I'll just go ahead and play it for you instead of trying to explain it. But it's going to go. Okay, so what you're doing here, you're going to bar your first finger across all 6 strings, because we're going to use part of that flatted finger to mute some strings, as well as fret. But the part you're fretting is going to be the low E. So we're going to grab that 5th fret all the way across, and then you're going to put your ring finger here on the 7th fret of the G string. Pinky finger is going to be on the 8th fret of the B, so you get. Now what you're going to do is just. These A and D is going to be muted. So when you shift this position a whole step down, so everything's going to shift from the 5th fret to the 7th fret, you're going to go. So when you shift, play the chord, shift down, hit the low E. Just repeat that over. On the last pass through you do. That's a little tricky too, it's another little subtlety, but Warren goes. So it's just 5th position. And then replay that again, do. And then you're going to do that little climb down. Now that's going to be just playing again the low E string and the A string, 10th fret, 11th fret, and to the 12th fret. And then go back into the main riff. So. That's pretty much all the rhythm guitar parts. Okay, so there's some guitar fills in the song. They're kind of like transition licks in between the verses. There's one in the intro right before you go into the first verse, and then right out of the chorus, right when you go to the 2nd verse. So let's go and talk about those. The first, I'll play the first part. Okay, so these are, kind of double stop licks to start with. I always refer to them kind of as chordal kind of licks. The big thing you have to do with these is just know which string, where the motion is on the string, and which note that you want to just keep your finger planted, kind of like as an anchor. So in this case, you're going to anchor your first finger here at the 10th fret of the high E, and then you're going to position your ring finger on the 13th fret of the B. But right behind it, we're going to go ahead and put that middle finger on the 12th fret because we're going to use that to help us make that bend. Because without it, I mean, you can still do it. I've seen a lot of guys do it, but it's going to put a lot more pressure and make it a lot more difficult. So if you got that extra finger to help bring that note up, it makes all the difference in the world. So the first thing you're doing is just hitting the B and high E together. So you kind of see that's a kind of a, and then I'm stopping it. And then you're going to shift that same position. Everything is just going to move down a whole step. So if we just take this first finger anchored on the 12th fret of the high E, we're going to have the ring finger on the 15th fret of the B, and then we'll again position that middle finger right behind it. So it's just 2. And then we're going to go and shift strings. But kind of the same principle. This one's going to occur on the 15th fret of the G, and then your anchor is going to be 13th fret of the B. We're still going to position that ring finger right behind, or excuse me, the middle finger right behind the ring finger to help. And it's just one, so here we're just one strum each on that. So we'll play that again. Now, right before you go into that little pentatonic run, you're going to be right here back to where you started. So 10th fret of the high E anchored, and then 13th fret of the B. And then, okay, so there's this little pentatonic lick that Warren does to finish this fill out, so we'll go through it. And every lesson I do, no matter how easy or difficult the song is, there's always a few parts that just get me and trip me up. This lick is one of them. It's just a very different. Well, I've never really played like that before, but it's so cool. I always think of Warren's playing is similar to when people describe Eddie Van Halen. They talk about what kind of a swing and rhythm. It's like it's so hard to replicate Eddie's rhythms and his lead playing because he has a swing to his playing. Warren's is not like Eddie, but he has his own unique kind of swing and bounce to his playing. And so that's, I think, what's made this solo and these fills so difficult to learn for me anyway. But wow, I learned so much from this. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. So let's go back. I'll stop talking and get back into the frets and the strings. So it's going to be so that's going to be from 10 on the high E to a pull off from 13 to 10 on the B. That's the first part. Then we'll just add it note to note. The next note is going to be 12th fret of the G. So we have now, once we play the 12th fret of the G, we're coming back to the 10th fret of the B string. Now, it gets a little more complicated. This is the part that gets me screwed up. So you go 10, pull off, 12, and that note by itself, that 13th fret of the G, just sounds so wrong when you're just sitting on it, but it's referred to as a passing note in the blues scale. So it's not a note that you want to sit on too long, but you can pass through it really quick and it sounds so cool. So when we play this, we're coming off of that pretty quick. So we're going to pull off from 13 to 12 and then 12 to 10 on the G string. And I think Warren does too. He picks the first two notes. So he picks this and then pulls off from 12 to 10 on the G string. Play that again slow. Now we're going to come back to 12. pull off from 12 to 10 on the G. And then come up here and grab 12 on the D string. And then you're going to come back here, another strange place for a note, but we're going to bend it really quick. So we're not going to sit on this note very long. We're going to bend it up to the 12th fret pitch. So that's the 11th fret of the G. So and then back in the same rhythm. And I should say, guys, I'm going to actually tab all this out, especially the lead parts. The rhythm parts, I probably won't do much with that as far as putting tablature out there. It's pretty much the same and pretty basic. I think you'll be able to follow pretty easy with this lesson. But the lead parts are really, really challenging. So I'm going to put that on my Patreon page, and I'll leave the link in the link in the description of this video, so you want to go over there and hook up with the Patreon membership. And it'll have the tab for the fills and the guitars. So you guys have heard the saying before, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. That's how we're going to approach this Warren D. Martini guitar solo, because it is an elephant. It's a really hard solo, but you're going to learn so much from this. I took so much from working this solo out, and I just know it's going to like add some new types of approach to how I think when I improvise or work up my own songs. So I think you guys are really going to love this. But let's go ahead and start. We're going to go over this. I'm just going to play the first part, just a little bit, a little piece. So we'll work that up first. So you're starting here on the 20th fret of the high E, and you're doing a big, big bend. Just like all the other bends, you want to make sure you got that, middle finger right behind the ring finger to help you bend up, and then just lay that first finger across the string so that you won't, get extra string noise. That's a way to mute. Then when you get to the bottom here, you can do a little vibrato. And we play this. So let's go through that. So we start here on the 20th fret of the high E to the 17th fret of the high E, and come back to the 20th fret, come back to the 17th fret of the high E, but then you're going to pull off from 17 to 13. The next part, you're going to grab here at the 15th fret of the B and then pull off from 17 to 14 on the high E. So we got 20, 17, 20, 17, pull off from 17 to 14. And guys, just remember, just so you know, I'm going to have this tabbed out on my Patreon channel, so you'll have something else to reference. The rhythm guitar parts I probably won't put up there because they're pretty basic and they repeat. This is pretty complex, so I'm going to have that in there so you guys will have something else to reference if you want to. So let's go back to this. After that pull off from 17 to 14, you're going to go. So it's a pull off here, and then come pull off from 15 to 13. Now once you pull off the first time, come here and grab the 14th fret of the high E, and then pull off again from the 15 to 13 on the B. Now from here we're doing 14 from the G, 12, and then slide from 12 to 10. Play that slow again. Sorry that I missed that last note. Play that again. Okay, so once we slide from this, we're going to come back to the 12th fret on the G. Slow bend there. You're going to grab the 10th fret of the B here with the middle finger and then come out, slide out on the 10th fret of the G. So we're going to slide kind of in the, from the 5th fret on the D string to the 7th fret. So it's just going to be a slide to the 5th fret of the G, and then a bend up here on the 7th fret. And that's going to be 5 to 6 on the B, and then ends that lick on the 7th fret of the G with some pretty wide vibrato. So let's play again. Okay, and then we go to this. So this part we're just doing. Everything's going to be on the G and D string. So we go. So it's going to be 7th fret of the G to 10th fret of the D with your pinky finger. And you can pull off from 10 to 7 on the D if you want. And then hammer back on. So 7, 10, 7, pull off, hammer on, and then come back. Then do this. So that's going to be kind of real similar. So 7 to 10, back to 7. And then the last part is going to be 7, 9, 10, 9, 7. And you could do part pick, part hammer on, pull off there too if you want. I think this is probably the hardest run in the whole solo. I don't know. It's just again, it's just the way Warren approaches. It's so cool, but it's very difficult. So we go. I'm going to repeat what we worked on up to this point. You're going to do this. So that's going to be the lick. So it starts here with a small dive bomb with the tremolo arm. So you're going to be here on the 10th fret of the high E. Just a little dive. So that's going to be a pull off from 10 to 8 on the high E. You're going to come from 10 to 8 on the high E and pull off on 10 to 8 on the B. So it's just repeating. Now you're going to flatten that first finger out so that you can grab that high E note again on the 8th fret. So when you play this note, come back to 10, pull off, now we're going to add another part. So that's going to be 8 on the B, and then pull off from 10 to 7 on the G. And then you're going to repeat that again. Okay. And then you're going to pull off from 10 to 7 on the D string. Now you're going to do a hammer-on pull-off on the A string from the 10 to the 8 back to the 10. So after that, now we're going to get into some hammer-ons only. So when you do this hammer-on back from 8 to 10, you're going to hammer on here from 7 to 10 on the D. And that's going to be 7th fret of the G to 8th fret of the D where that lick finishes. Okay, so after that cool lick, we're doing this. That's a kind of a tough, another one of those licks that I just had to play it over and over and over again to get it. So you're doing hammer-ons here. And it's going to be 2 times here from the 8th to 10 on the D. Oops. Now, once you do 2 times here, you're going to do a hammer on from 7 to 8 on the D. And then you're just going to repeat it 1 time each on the second pass. Now you're going to come back down here to the 10th fret of the D string, come to the 7th fret of the G, and then pull off from 10 to 7. So here on the 10th fret of the B string, you're doing a half bend. So you're doing 2 picks, and then bring it back down to the original pitch and put some good vibrato on that. So okay, so we're going to go over that little part. So we do this, and it's a little easier than less notey. So it's just a. So that's going to be 6, 5, 6. And then on the last part, you're going to pull off from 6 to 5. So and then slide into the 7th fret of the G. Oops. And then you're going to come all the way down here and grab that 15th fret of the G. So it's, and then my strings are getting kind of nasty, so if it sounds like I'm not sliding too well, they're kind of grungy. They need to be changed. So grungy strings make it hard to slide. So then you're going to come in and slide into the 15th fret here and do a. So let's go over to that. So when we come into that slide, some vibrato there, you're going to go. So it's just going to be a pull off from 17 to 15 on the G. And then you're going to do a hammer on pull off from 14 to 15 on the G. And that's going to be from 17 of the D to back to 14 of the G. And then you do a. And that's just going to be a pull off from 15 to 14. And then you're sliding in and hammering on the 17th. So it's a pull off, 14, 15, 17. So let's go through that. And then once we come to that, you're doing that's another kind of picking some notes, then doing some hammer on and pull off. So it's just gonna, be 15 on the B, 17, hammer on, or you can do a hammer on, pull off, hammer on. So, and then with your ring finger, you're going to go here to the 17th fret of the high E and go. Then and that's going to be a slide down on the B string to the 20th fret, 19th fret, 20, back to the 19, and then a full bend on the 20th, the high E.